think it's important, living in a town like this, Anglesey, I think it's important to learn, know what can cause a bushfire and because I remember coming into this project, I used to be horrified of bushfires, but now I'm much more confident.
I would love to help out if there's a fire, but because I have a bit more knowledge now than I had then. So I think that I could be useful when there's a fire someday.
I always think that knowledge dispels fear. So if the more kids and the community know about and facts and information, they can make better decisions. I want the kids to actually know that they'll know more than most people in town about bushfires. They know what it's all about. And I want them to apply that knowledge to actually help and actually have roles and jobs. Just because they're grade 6 and grade 5, they'll actually get jobs to do to help the community, keep information going, calm people down and help with welfare.
The Cfa Project started 5 years ago, and the reason it started was because of where we live. It is a high risk fire area, and we felt the need that students to have that knowledge about fire. We feel knowledge is power. If they understand fire, they're not going to be afraid and they're going to know what to do. The idea was also, if we're teaching kids, they can teach other kids, their families, and so that word gets out into the community. The Cfa Project starts at the end of Year 4, when the students get an induction into the Cfa Project. They come to the station. This is their second classroom. They get to see the fire trucks. They have a tour. They get to play with some of the gadgets. They learn the phonetic alphabet. Then in Year 5 is when the real teaching starts, and they do CFA every week for 2 hours, and that's where they learn about fire behaviour and particularly its relationship with weather and topography. And so part of the end of that Year 5 year is when they present to their families.
We want the kids to be part of the community, and we want them to know that they're an important part of the community as well, and we do a lot of community projects with the CFA and other organisations around the town. One of our goals of our school is to provide authentic, real-life, challenging learning opportunities for the children.
So the Shark Tank, we thought, idea from the TV show might be a really good way where they've got to succinctly say what problem they're solving, why they're doing it, and what they need to get their project through. And they have to sell that.
We decided to make this map so people who weren't familiar with Anglesey could read this map and find safe spots, we call them safe spots, to go to when there's a fire approaching or near Anglesey. And we made it on the back, we put a communication board with lots of symbols to read if you couldn't read English.
I told my family a bit about the map and they think it's a really cool idea. Yeah. About the safe spots, and yeah, we've drove past a couple of them and seen that they're pretty safe to go when there's a bushfire.
Well, our clips or films are kind of trying to reduce the amount of panic that comes in when we get alarm that a fire is on the way. People will start trying to leave, and we don't really want that to happen. We want them to stay calm, and doing this Shark Tank, we don't feel like we're getting taught, we feel like we're actually teaching people, and that's what we kind of like.
They're going to be shown on tourist buses coming into town, and also the local TVs in the shops and wherever we can put them.
Our blog is a website that will explains what you need to do in the situation of a bushfire, and our point is to make everyone aware of Anglesey bushfire and what can happen and what to do.
We have fire history, we have a little weather app so you can see the weather, and we have community connections is where you can go on and it's to call people, so say you can go onto everywhere in Anglesey, all the businesses, and just go, I can call them, they're closest to me, they can help me.
The game's very educational, so they're about the MacArthur meter, the fire triangle, different types of fires and other things.
You can sense that they live around here and they know the challenges, they know it intimately. So that came across really well. But I was just super impressed in the way, a good way of learning. They said they've been at it for quite some time. They've also had some things that haven't gone right for them, so I think that'll do them a lot of good in the end.
It surprised me how they've been involved with Jamie in particular over the last few years. That a couple of the girls that I spoke to afterwards, they said that they started their project last year, and I kind of thought it would just be something they've been working on for the last few months, but they really had good fire knowledge, and so important in Anglesea in particular.
The Survive and Thrive program and Anglesea's work with the school and the community is really a great example of how this community is working together. It's a really good example on how other communities can understand that people can work with kids as well as adults and all other people within their community, and it's a great example for other communities to learn from that, not necessarily copy it, but understand what they can do if they work together. I tend to shy away from the word teaching because it goes back to that standard education model. So it's more about different ways of learning and supporting each other to learn, and learning from each other is obviously a great example. And then obviously learning from the kids, and the adults are learning from the kids as well, which is obviously a good model too.
Yeah, well, obviously at home we obviously talk about fire being in a bushfire-prone environment like we are, but since he's been doing this program, he's certainly learnt a lot about how fire behaves, the sorts of things you might expect on a day where a fire does occur, and the sorts of things that you might do in preparing for it. And so, yeah, that's a lot of discussion at home that wouldn't have otherwise happened.
Yeah. The girls at the start with the video clips, that was perhaps pre but also immediate. So they've covered a lot of different angles. Somehow or other, if you could tie it all together, it'd be fantastic for the area.
And in some ways that's what the website does, because it has all of that there, really.
Yeah. I mean, they're the future of the town. They're the ones that will stay, you know, if they feel comfortable about the place, they will teach us rather than us teaching them. You know, I think they've got the ideas.
Well, it ticks all the boxes for the Victorian curriculum which we have to teach. An example today, we have to assess the children on their speaking and listening. So today they've had to speak in front of a large group of kids, like a large group of people. They've had to listen to the Shark Tank people's advice and answer questions. Writing is something we have to assess them on, so they've had to write their plans and their speeches for today. There's also maths, so problem solving, working together as teams. We have to assess their personal social capability, how they get along with other people, so it ticks a lot of boxes. Plus, it's because it's real and it's real life and challenging, the kids seem to step up and we get better outcomes.
It's better to learn from when you're younger, and Jamie says that we actually know more than some of the adults that are training to be firefighters.
And I'd know where the fire's going, what's it doing, how long it takes to get to Anglesea.
It can teach your family if they don't know like how to survive in a fire and stuff, and it teaches them more about fire safety as well as us.
You can choose what way you think will be most effective to help people, and then when there's lots of groups like we have, then it kind of targets every kind of person.
It's definitely better to come down to the local fire station and learn about fire than to stay at school in the classroom and learn about fire, because here obviously they've got like all the equipment and they've got a lot more technology to use.
I know that Anouk really impacted for me, because she taught me so much more than just, you know, how to, you know, control yourself in a fire. She taught me history about it, and I think that was the main thing, yeah.
Well, you don't have to do like schoolwork. You can learn about fire and how to survive a real fire, which is quite fun. I like it a lot.
And also it's something new, so then we just don't go over the same thing a couple of times, and we just learn something new every session. That we get to have a free choice of what we do sometimes.
Because you actually get to like go out of school and go to like the fire station, and you get excursions out of the out in the bush and stuff, and learn about other people have gone through the fire and stuff.
Well, some people probably have
short attention spans, so like looking at things on paper, just like he said, would be like a bit, they just go, oh. It'd kind of make them a little bit less sure of what they're doing. If kids don't know what's going on, then like, how are they going to know what's going on when they get older? So like, if you teach them now, then they know more when they get older.
I reckon that if kids can help with, not just adults can help with the fire, so can kids. They can deliver messages, calm people down and other things.
When I'm older, I'd love to like volunteer, even if it's not fighting a bushfire, just to help the local fire station. Yeah, that'd be great. But sometimes when there's a huge bushfire, I might regret it. But yeah, it's always good to help out the community.
I think I'd feel like I knew how to handle it, but I'd be worried for the people who didn't, like my family. Whenever I get home, I go, okay, what's our fire plan? And like after CFA, I like make sure that they know things that I've learnt, because I want them to be ready. And because I'm mainly worried about my family more than me.
It just wasn't a recruitment program. It wasn't going to be a little CFA recruitment program to get more volunteers. That would be a great outcome. So we did it. So for the first time in the history, 75 years plus, the Anglesey Fire Brigade, it's about continuing, if you like, what they started here and continuing that.
What a lot of these projects they came up with today, that was their focus, that was their purpose, to help people make the right decisions and know what to do.
They talk about their learning, they're walking back to school now, they'll be talking about this all the way back to school now.
I think we could probably teach a few adults around here a bit more.